Hello, Hastings. Welcome to another In Studio. I'm Tom Wright, and I bring you the United Way Executive Director. Mary Mellick is in studio this time with us. Mary, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, John.
Good to have you here. We have some great news to talk about here. You guys just allocated $70,000 in local grants to local organizations, and so we're here to talk all about those grants and exciting things going on that United Way is supporting. Mary, I understand, let's talk about the process first. Before we get to the winners, let's talk about the process.
Okay.
And tell us, when does this start for people to apply?
Well, the start of the process begins January 1st.
Okay.
So it's the same date. Every year we provide applications available on our website, and it's based on how well the fundraising goes the day or the year before. So when we get to the end of the year, like in 2016, we really look at the pledges that came in and our organizational donations, individual donations, and that helps us determine the funds that we can then give out to other groups. So other groups look to apply to the United Way of Hastings to help fund many of their programs. This year we had nearly 20 applications. In fact, actually we reviewed 20 grant requests, and we're able to provide $70,000 worth of funding to all of these various groups that support people in the Hastings community. There may be a nonprofit or organization that doesn't reside in our service area, like within the Hastings School District. That's basically our service area. But if they're supporting individuals in the Hastings area, then we do provide funds to them if they meet all of our guidelines and our requirements.
I see, and let's talk about some of those in the application here. What sort of things do you ask for in the application from them?
Well, we do have a list of requirements and guidelines. We want to make sure that the groups that we're funding are set up to really perform the services that they say that they're going to perform. Do they have a board of directors in place? Are they a reputable nonprofit? What are they going to do with those funds? And what happens if something changes throughout the year with their initiative or their program? How will they react to that? We want to know lots of information about them. We want to see their past tax returns. We want to do our due diligence and review their history. We want to know how many people they have on their board of directors, who makes their decisions, what their structure is like, because we really do want to make sure that the donors that provide funding to us, we're therefore sending that funding out to other groups, and we want to make sure that they're using those allocation amounts effectively and properly.
And not taking a trip to Mexico, right?
We probably wouldn't like that.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be good.
That they might not let us know about that too. So that would be too bad.
What if the entire group comes back with a really nice tan? And you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, in Minnesota, when you see those people with tans, you always have to question, where have they been?
Yes. Tell me about the group of people that you have that take a look at the applications. I understand you have a name for it, the Community Investment Committee?
Yeah, we have a committee that's set up of some of our board members, some of our volunteers that know about our processes, know about our core impact areas, which are health, education, and financial stability with an emphasis on youth. So we want to make sure that we have that continuity in some of those people on the committee, but we also want to make sure that we're bringing in new people from the community. We want to make sure that the decisions made by this community or by this committee are actually community members. And so it's not Mary Mellick making the decisions for the funding. It's not strictly our board of directors. It's actually the Hastings community making the decisions. They are reviewing the applications that come in. They are interviewing groups that apply for funding, and they're determining where the greatest needs are in the community, and then therefore allocating a certain amount of the funds to each group, hopefully.
Wow, so it's not only just reviewing applications, they're also bringing the groups in to do interviews with them, asking them some questions.
Yes.
Do you put them under a hot spotlight like this? And
we never do that to people. No, we're really nice people, and that's cute. But actually, we really try to make the interview process and the entire application process user-friendly. We want these groups to receive funding, and we know that there's so many organizations, so many people committed to making Hastings a great community. We want to be a part of that. So we're not, we talk hand in hand with groups that maybe the first time that they're applying for an application. I remember a couple years ago we had a brand new group apply, and I just said, you know what, I'm here for you. Anytime that you have questions about the application process, let me know. Well, about 30 emails later and about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 phone calls and a face-to-face, yep, their application came in and it was perfect, and our group really felt that they were worthy of receiving funding, so they were funded that year. So, we really do try to make it an easy process, yet we have requirements in place. And one of those reasons why we have those requirements is because we have to tell our donors that we are good stewards of their funds, and part of that is making sure that we have a good relationship with the groups that we fund, and making sure that they're using those funds properly.
Now I understand not everybody that applies receives a grant, of course, right?
That's correct.
You only have so much money, and again, you have requirements.
Yeah, we tell people, United Way of Hastings has been the community chest for over 50 years. We know that there are groups that apply each year and they're funded each year, but we really try to tell people, don't anticipate that every single year you will get a grant from United Way of Hastings. Times change. In fact, for our organizational budget, which is about a $300,000 budget, we've seen some dips in our donations over the last couple of years. So, we tell people, it's not a given each year that you will receive funding, even if you meet all the requirements. And it's not a given each year that you will receive funding at the level that you've always received funding. So we really try to keep it open and give organizations a realistic idea of where we're coming from and what we have to work with within our own budget.
Now I understand you've been doing this for a few years, correct? How many years have you been doing this? Do you know?
I've been doing this personally about 6 years.
Okay.
United Way of Hastings, though, over 50 years. They were established in 1964 to be that community chest, and we remain that chest today. We're the organization that we want groups to come to that are looking to fulfill a need in the community and make an impact in the community. And we will help you. If we're not able to fund you, we're also available to you to put you at the table with other groups in the community that you can partner with. So we have a pretty big role in the community, and it's evolving over time. We've established some really strong relationships with some of our funded partner agencies, and likewise with some other groups that we don't necessarily fund, but we partner with them to offer programming in the community.
Have you, in that time, ever gotten an application for a grant and you guys were just like, what? Is it somebody that kind of was like maybe just way out there kind of idea or project or something like that? Have you anything like that?
Well, I don't think I've actually gotten one in the door that they took the time to write it out. Usually people that are really questioning whether they fit within our requirements, they're going to give me a call first, and they'll say, hey Mary, just want to know, would this be something that is fundable? And if it doesn't clearly fall within our requirements, they have to be doing service in our area, and they have to be fulfilling a need in the area of education, health, financial stability, youth. That's a big, broad, area when you group all that together. But if they're doing something way outside of that work, then normally they're not going to fit our requirements, and we can, say, it's probably not worth your time to fill out an application. I can't off the top of my head think of a time that has happened. There are groups that have called and spoken with me, and we've gone through all of the requirements with them. And then they typically, realize that they don't fit those requirements, and they opt out not to apply. But again, I always tell them, if something changes at your end, where next year, your structure changes or your program initiative is going to evolve, let us know, and we're here to help you. That's our role in the community.
Okay, so I'll brainstorm on this because maybe there's a chance I could make a difference in Cancun, Mexico by teaching young kids about Hastings Community TV, and I'll think about it. I'll put it on paper
You think about that, and when you get a concept, give me a call first.
I will.
Don't go through the application process, because maybe
I'm getting a no right away.
I can help you not waste your time or mine.
Well, let's talk about the real ones, the realistic
Okay.
ones that won
Yeah.
this year. I know you had, was it 20 winners this year, or is it 20 applicants?
We reviewed 20 applicants. We weren't able to fund every single applicant.
And,
You know,
so how many were you able to fund?
we funded, well, you know, it's kind of difficult to just say how many
Sure.
organizations because we may fund several programs under one organization. So, for example, the Hastings School District and the Oasis program, that's the after-school program at the middle school. We fund that, and we have for many years, but we also fund some other programs at the high school, at some of the other school district areas. So you know, basically, we funded about 19 different initiatives, and that may fall under about 15 to 20 different organizations.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Great.
it's quite a few. For an organization our size, again, you know, with an annual budget of around 300,000, we really do a good job in reaching out to other groups and bringing them into United Way's community chest and working with them. You know, we're not able to fund the groups to the extent that they normally want, but that's okay. Sometimes it's just giving them a little seed money to get that initiative going and to get it off the ground. We do have a couple this year that are new initiatives.
Yeah, please tell us about
Yeah,
that.
for example, the Black Dirt Theater. Although we've funded Black Dirt Theater in the past, they've done programming that has helped the elderly population in our community, that has helped youth in our community, and so they have fallen under our requirements and do meet our guidelines. They wanted to do something a little bit different this year and step away from doing what they called a push-play initiative, where they were teaching art and theater to youth. They've stepped aside and they're really looking to develop a curricula for intergenerational offerings through Black Dirt Theater. And so we really found that that was something that would really help our community and help potentially all different demographics, you know, not just youth, but many throughout our community. So we did fund partially that initiative, and we're looking forward to getting their updates as they roll this out here in 2017, how that's going to go.
And is that part of the requirements that they do provide updates even after it's funded? They are funded. Do they need to report to you sort of and give you progress updates, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we've evolved as we've put our requirements more in place, I guess I would say, this year, and we started a few of the requirements last year, but we look to other United Ways that are a little bit bigger, that have, you know, a lot of these initiatives already in place, and they act as a guide for us. We can learn a lot just by exchanging information. And so we actually put some requirements, and we want funded agencies to sign on the dotted line that they will provide us with a report halfway through the funding year, and then again at the end of the year. No longer does United Way just, you know, it's not just a pass-through society where, you know, the funding comes in from our donors and then the money goes out the door to the funded agencies, and then we don't hear from them again until the following year when we look to the grants process. Now we really want to partner with our funded agencies. We want to learn how we can help them, and we want to make sure that they are indeed making an impact. So that includes giving us updates throughout the year.
Another question that pops to mind is, have you ever added sort of a stipulation to the funding and said, you know what, we really like your idea, but if you just, you know, did this with it, or went in this direction, a little bit in this direction, or added this to it, you know, then we can fund you. But Have you ever had to do something like that?
Well, we haven't really done something per se exactly like that where we
Yeah.
put something down in writing that you need to do this and come back next year. We try to work with the organization, and those sort of comments and questions typically come out during the interview process.
Okay.
Now, because we're in a tight time frame for when we're interviewing these groups, we want to get their funding out to them by the first quarter in 2017, the first quarter of that year. We obviously can't interview 20 different groups. It
No.
would take weeks. So we select a few maybe new ones that are coming to us that we haven't seen before, or a new program, and typically those types of questions will come out during the interview process. We have been known though for those groups that we aren't able to interview because of timing challenges, we will email them and say, our committee has some questions. Have you thought about this? Or can you explain what your budget means when you look at, the number of people that you're going to be serving, and it's not making sense to us? Can you give us some more detail? So we really work closely with the groups throughout the interview process and throughout the review process. It isn't just, okay, here's the application and you don't,
Yeah.
hear from us. We really want to know exactly what's going on. If we have questions, we're going to ask.
Great. Let's make sure we get everybody here. If you
Sure.
want to, we got Black Dirt Theater, 360 Communities was another one. It looks like, and if you don't mind, we can just
Sure.
list through, and if you and
Absolutely.
we use the cheat sheet here. I know we had quite a few. It's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, well, I can talk quick if you want me to, but 360 Communities, for those that don't know, 360 Communities runs the Lewis House here in town, our domestic abuse shelter. They also run a program called Partners for Success, and that bridges home and school at the middle school and some of our elementary schools. So we work with them on that. We also have all of this information on our website for
Sure.
the viewers that want to take a look at this. But Black Dirt Theater, I just mentioned. Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts, we've had a strong partnership with the Boy Scouts for many years, and we work with them on their programming here in Hastings. Darts works with our elderly population, and we do services with them. Friends of the Mississippi, some people might think, oh, that's environmental, that's outside of your realm. But what they're doing is really some unique initiatives involving youth and building webs of support with adults. So we see a real tie-in with that in our Helping Kids Succeed initiative. So we've funded them, as well as some other groups that are doing that too, like the high school field biology class. That's another group that we've helped fund that are doing some of those initiatives with youth. Hastings Community Education, there's two programs, the disability program and the early childhood scholarships. Hastings Family Service, we've been just a long-time supporter of Hastings Family Service, and they have of us too, and we continue to fund them. This year we're helping to fund their summer lunch program, which is just
Oh, the meals program. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's so much needed, and it is a big deal because some of those traditional funding sources have gone away, and these kiddos, when they get out of school in summertime, they may not have enough to eat, so we're working with them on that. The Hastings Prescott Area Arts Council, we're funding youth scholarships with that group. Hastings Schools, there's a number of programs with the Hastings Schools. The Senior Center, they're again another longtime partner. Fairly new to being a funded partner agency is the Legal Assistance of Dakota County. And that is a nonprofit on its own. It's not part of the government Dakota County system. It's a family legal assistance nonprofit, and they serve people in the Hastings area, and we work with them. LifeWorks, another great partner in ProAct. And then to round it out, True Friends. True Friends provides camps and respite care to those with disabilities, families that have a disabled one within their family structure.
Wow.
So yeah, a big group of people, and like I said, we have all of this information at unitedwayofhastings.org, and we also have the links to the various groups so that if people want to find out more about, let's just say, darts, maybe they want to volunteer with darts and help individuals in our community, there's certainly opportunities for that. We try to make it easy for people to do that.
Great, great. All right, and then we should, before we leave here, I want to, one more thing is also make note that you guys fund quite a few other things, beyond the grants here.
Yeah.
Another list of organizations. We don't have to go through these one by one, but I just want to make
Yeah.
that point, that
Yeah.
you guys fund a number of other things as
We
well.
almost need a visual, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Of like the groups that we fund through our grants process.
Mm-hmm.
We call them funded partner agencies. The partnerships that we have with, say, other groups where we partially fund some of the programming, like the Promise Fellows at the middle school, to help kids that are, struggling in areas academically, behaviorally, or with attendance. And then there's United Way programs that it's a line item on our budget that we fund, and it's just owned by United Way of Hastings. An example of that is the Helping Kids Succeed initiative. We fund that. That's building webs of support for our youth and building webs of support throughout the community for all of us. Imagination Library is another program that United Way of Hastings is involved with, and it's funded solely by our donors. It's providing books for children from birth to 5 years of age specific, and it helps them prepare for kindergarten. So it's just a terrific program.
That's a great program. I'm a recipient of that too. We love those books. Kids love those books. Getting
Yeah,
that
they
in the
do.
mail and
And they love going to the mailbox. I keep hearing this from parents, that it's just such a fantastic resource available to them. The kids know about the time of the month that their book is going to be delivered. Excuse me. So they'll go to the mailbox and, they're looking for that book, and they just love to see their book with their name on it. And sometimes when they're siblings, there's a little bit of rivalry,
Yeah.
a little bit, but for the most part, the kids love that when they get something for themselves in the mail.
Wow. Well, this is great. Great news. Looks like you guys have a lot of things going on, supporting a lot of great things going on in the community, and thank you for that.
Well, thank you for allowing me the FaceTime to get
Oh, of
this
course.
information, out to the community. We couldn't do what we do without partners like, the Hastings TV station and other individuals and groups in the community. We're all in this together, and we're all looking to make Hastings a great community. It's a wonderful community, and we just want to raise the bar for everyone that lives and works here.
And I just ask in return that you perhaps consider my application for Cancun
Yeah.
study,
Yeah.
teaching kids about Hastings
Yeah.
Community TV in
I'm
Cancun.
sure some of your budget will be, spray on tan or something like that, huh? Before you go.
Only the necessities. So
Okay.
it'd only be like a 10-minute
Okay.
spray tan. Something like, or a
Okay.
couple sessions. Okay. It
Okay.
wouldn't, I'm not,
Okay.
I don't need to be ridiculous.
Okay,
It
all
could
right.
just be like
No
2 sessions.
orange though, no
No
orange.
orange.
Okay, all right.
Well, Mary, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
again, like Mary said, all this information is on United Way's website, and we'll put that address right up right now. And check it out yourself if you're curious on any more information or on the application process, and perhaps you may apply yourself. But it sounds like if you're planning on something to go to Cancun, it may not work, but we'll see. We'll see.
Sounds
I'm
good.
still going to try it.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Okay, thanks.
And thank you guys. We'll see you next time for another In Studio.